Howdy folks, today we are fishing Lake Beulah. I just rented the boat, there's the flag, and this is a very special day, I've actually broken open the piggy bank, and instead of using my kayak I rented a boat and motor, and I had a $100 bill thanks to a birthday present that a special someone had given me. So I'm splurging to get a boat and motor and fish beautiful Lake Beulah for some bass. So we're going to see how this works. I'm sure we will catch fish, and we will be showing you some fish and showing you some tactics today. So stay tuned, folks. Okay, so this is going to be our first spot. It's a little bit of a weed point that sticks out. We're in about 14 feet of water here, but it drops up to 7 and there's weeds. One thing that seems to be very important is color selection, my friends. And you know, usually when the lake is not too clear, I like to use this greenish, sparkly type color wacko worm. But in a lake like this, it's clear, it's going to be sunny. So I like to go with this blue. It just seems to do better. So I'm going to start with the blue. If I don't get anything, I'll switch off, because sometimes all you have to do is switch colors. Suddenly you start catching them. So instead of being lazy and just fishing with the one I have on there, I'm actually going to make an effort and take that one off the hook and put this one on the hook. It's a minimal effort, about a 10-second effort, but lazy fishermen sometimes pass that 10 seconds and don't do their due diligence. And that's the difference between people who catch fish and people who don't. Folks, we have had a couple of bites but haven't been able to land them. The last one I just had on was a decent sized one, and I wanted to show you a little bit about what we're doing here. As I mentioned, it's a special day because I get to fish in, really this is just a luxury cruiser line that I'm in. It's a nice flat bottom boat, but the luxury in it all is I'm able to use a motor and get from point A to point B quickly, and I'm able to use my electronics. And if you see on this Humminbird, you can see where we're fishing, and this is a point that sticks out. It's a weed point, and all here around it drops into deep water. So I'm able to concentrate right along this weed point. And as you can see, it's 6 feet of water right here, but moments ago it was 19. And you can see the weeds on the graph, so you can see that we're in the perfect spot to catch fish. So sometimes when you have $100, it's worth it to get something that's a lot more luxurious than a kayak. It really does the trick. It's a nice, beautiful watercraft. And it gives me the advantage of using my electronics, which is really important for a bass fisherman. Hopefully we'll have a fish soon. We're back, folks. This is another spot that's known. It's called the Horns. There's 2 points that stick out. There's one point there and another point there. And there's a nice break line along here with weeds. And that's the spot we're going to fish next. We're going to drift across along the weed line. Right now we're in 22 feet of water, but soon it'll be 8 or 9 with weeds. So this is another good spot. I've caught fish here before, so we're going to give this a try. And it's just an interesting structure because it's, and plus it's called the Horns. So hook 'em horns. Hook 'em horns. We finally got a fish. It was tough sledding, man. It was a tough racket, but this is him. He's a largemouth, and he appears to be about 16 inches. Gave me a good fight too, right on the horns, but it has been tough. A couple hours gone by, so, but it's good. Good news. First fish. All right, folks, we're coming into this little mini lake. It's actually called Mill Pond, and we're on our way to the restaurants to have lunch. So the Mill Pond is pretty interesting because it's not really a pond. It's a deep hole, and it's the deepest, actually the deepest part of the water of this lake, even though it's tiny. It has interesting structure. It's crystal clear. and it's just like a bowl, and it drops down to about 80 feet in the middle, and there's even trout in there. So we will definitely fish that after lunch, but right now we're just taking the channel right through into there. Beautiful lily pads, slow no wake buoy, and then there is where we just came from, the big lake. This, people, is Mill Pond. Pretty big, majestic houses there. You wonder what they do for a living, but I imagine they're no happier than I am. So that's another lesson for today. These people are probably more miserable than I am because I'm in a lake and they are not. Howdy, folks. We actually ran into a big snag for our lunch exploration. The place that I usually go to lunch was not there. Well, it was there, but it was all kinds of like red tape, yellow tape, and it was closed. So I'm like, oh no, what to do now? So I had to like use Google, and I found this fancy place called Lulubell's Dockside. So I went in there, and it was pricey, but you know, I kind of did the economy way by having a liquid lunch. A liquid lunch usually consists of a couple of beers and then a big Bloody Mary and then some onion soup. And it's like the perfect liquid lunch because it gives you kind of a good lift to the day. So this was a nice place, and then the most entertaining part about the place was this elderly couple walked in with all kinds of jean jackets and Harley gear, and it turns out they're Harley people. And I overheard them talking about how much they enjoy watching and observing old people. And the lady said, I really like looking at old people. I know that we're sort of old, but I'm talking about really old people. But the funny thing about these two is they had to have been like in their mid to late 70s. So I think they really enjoy like the people that are like in their 90s. So it's something to look forward to because they're happy people, and the older you get, the happier you get. So now it's back to the water. So folks, it looks like the weather's definitely taken a turn for the worse. We have more bright skies, calm waters, it's hot. So this is really not a good day for fishing, but a bad day of fishing beats a good day anywhere else. So more on the lunchtime issues. What I found out from the bartender at Lulubell's is that the place that I originally was going to go to, which is D&D, actually burned down. Well, it didn't burn down to the ground, but it had a big fire over Thanksgiving, and they were underinsured, and they ended up just taking the loss, and they departed. And now the land is for sale. The building's not usable, so it has to be torn down. But it is for sale, so if anybody's interested in opening a bar, that's the place to do it. The other thing that happened was an elderly lady, beyond the Harley elderly, this lady was more elderly than the Harley elderly, came in, and she was talking about all this world travel and whatnot. And she ordered a drink and then like didn't even finish it and then just paid and left. And then the bartender informed me that the lady has pretty bad dementia, so she just kind of rolls with it and not take advantage of her. But she said like in her heyday she was just wild, like a wild partier. And I think she was just reliving her partying days just for a moment in the bar, ordering a drink and having a couple sips and then moving on. So it was very entertaining to enjoy the lunchtime. So far really the lunch has been the highlight of the day. But we still have an afternoon to go, and we got plenty of work to do, so it's time to get to work. Bingo! We got ourselves a little walleye. He was in about 9 feet of water in a place called the Saddle. It was a shallow area just between 2 points. So it was like a saddle of shallow water, and it's not a bad one. Look at that, a walleye. Walleyes are kind of hard to catch. He's a skinny guy. He's definitely not anything like a Canada walleye, but anytime you get a walleye, you always have to feel rewarded because they are kind of hard to catch. So here's a look at the lake map area. The shaded blue is the shallower water related to the white, so you can kind of see the contour. And our boat is like right here, and that's where we just caught the walleye. So it was like a little thumb that sticks down of it's basically a deep weedy point. And as you can see, it's 6 feet of water here and weedy. So this is largemouth bass territory. So it was kind of cool that a walleye is visiting here. And usually when there's one walleye, there's more around. So stay tuned for more fish. Tennis, anyone? This spot is a well-known, consistent producer of fish. What it basically is an underwater hump, and it's about the size of a tennis court. So it's known as the tennis court. And it's usually always produces something. And I didn't come here right away because I always know that I can count on this spot to produce fish whenever I want. So I usually like to explore some of the other newer areas of the lake before I come back here. And I usually use this as a place to come if I'm depressed for not catching fish and start to doubt my skills, because it's almost automatic. So we're going to give this a try, and I'm sure there's going to be some fish to be shown here. Let's play tennis. Oi! It is really starting to bake out here, and this tennis court did not serve me well at all. It's tennis court match Ken love. I got 0 here, and it's getting so darn hot, like only fools would be out fishing right now. Just fools. That's usually what you see here in the bar. So right now most of the fishermen are probably in the bar, and when they see somebody like me out there, they think I'm a fool. So I gotta just show them that they're the fools. So we're going to just take a boat ride because I need to air out, and then we're going to try some deeper holes because if we get a little bit of wind and maybe some cloud cover, there might be a chance. But it's not looking good right now, folks. Let's be blunt. Well, after a long drought, we finally got one. And we're on an underwater hump, and you can see him coming in. It's a bass. Not a great one, but he did hit hard. Right on a drop-off in near fairly deep water. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and it's baking, and I'm like ready to start winding the day down. So it's always good to catch one last one. So there he is. He's pretty good. Well, there you have it. Another fish. Well, folks, had some exciting times here. Had a couple of fish. One of them actually busted my wacko worm in half, and I had to put another one on, and I had to do it quickly because I only have 3 more minutes before this boat is gonna get ready to turn into a pumpkin, and I have to head back to the dock. But it was a good afternoon, and really, you know, decent day fishing, but I seem to have a lot of action out here in the afternoon. But it's definitely not good fishing weather, as you can see, just by how calm and clear it is, but we still did okay and learned a couple lessons too, some really good ones. One of them is it's great to be old. It really is. Being old is being cool. And if you own a tavern or a restaurant, don't be underinsured. And lastly, just when you think that all these people with these big houses are happier than you are, that's not true. If you're in a boat, you're always going to be happier. That's all, folks. Until next time.